right, GM everyone, Little Panda here with Index Card, and we have a great show for you today. We are joined by Microwave Al 409. This is sort of like an episode 0. I guess it's more like a 0.5 now, but it's sort of a pilot. And in this live stream here, we're going to describe the season outline, some new season, to our friend Al, the Microwave. So we will get started right after this quick message.
I love that.
GM Al, how are you?
GM, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Index Card, GM.
GM. That was like there's not a better episode for that introduction video. It kind of gets me every time when I pop out of the chest.
Is that going to be the intro for each episode?
Honestly, we need to update it. I made that a long time ago.
That's pretty good stuff.
But yeah. So welcome everyone. It's March 21st, Tuesday. Whether you're watching this live here on Lil Panda at Lil Panda WTF, or after, we're on YouTube, Twitch right now. We'll probably be other places somewhere. But this is sort of a new season of content. Index Card and I are builders in the Little Noun ecosystem. And we have this episode here today. We're going to kind of pitch our proposal that we'd like to go on chain with to this Microwave Al GM. I've had you on the show before. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, I remember last time I had you on, we talked about kind of how you play the game and who you are. The thing that is interesting, I think, about you is you're this microwave here. What do you like most about your PFP?
I like that there are not a ton of other microwaves from what I've seen. Like, I don't actually know anyone else who like rocks the microwave. And honestly, my favorite, which I kind of have started to make into more of a thing, is the suit that he wears. I could touch on the story real quick, but when I ended up buying this Little Noun, so real quick, I like one of the first auctions I won was like Little Noun 119. I ended up listing it on OpenSea for like 1.5 ETH, and it sold. I was literally on an airplane about to take off, and I like had this moment of like, well, shit, I need a Little Noun. Like, I still want access to the Discord. Like, I'm trying to, do work here, blah, blah, blah. So I jump on OpenSea and scroll through really quick. And I actually didn't even know what the head was. I just thought it looked funny and goofy, but I really liked the suit. So I went with it. I bought it for like an ETH. And now today I'm trying to pull it up. I've just kind of started collecting suits. So like I literally probably have 10 different suited Little Nouns. It's definitely my favorite trait.
Absolutely loved. Anyone who focuses in on an accessory, they're definitely belong on this live stream, right, Index?
I only have 9. I need one more.
We got to get you a business card.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, I really like leaning into like the microwave, because who would think, like, if you look at all the heads, who would think a microwave would be your identity?
Right?
So
I
really
random.
like that. Yeah. And then, like Panda said, most people adopt a head, but you're kind of adopting a head and a trait, like accessory trait.
Right.
And the suits are just super clean.
But they're so fun.
Yeah.
These fancy little
business
guys.
card next, maybe, if we can. A little business card.
If I could find a business card, I would buy it for the meme in itself. Like, here's my business card. And it's got my microwave head, and on the bottom right, it'll just be the little index card in the suit.
I'll have to stock a little block party this week.
I will pay a premium for it.
Yeah, sweet. So Al, you've been on the show a bunch. people should feel free to look back at that episode. I'll probably link it in the show notes. But favorite thing about Al is he let me buy my little panda. On merge day, I settled this panda, and then Al bid on it. So I DM'd him, and he said, yes, you can have it. And so he let me have my little panda. So shout out, Al. Still really appreciate that, Al.
Of course. I love your little panda collection.
Can I share a tidbit from this day? I don't know if you knew this, but like this is kind of around the time Panda and I met. A tumultuous beginning, maybe. But I sat at my computer for almost a full day trying to find him a panda on Little Block Party. And I don't even think he knows it. But I sat here for hours and we didn't even really know each other. I was unsuccessful, but
what?
Yeah, I was like, all right, I got to step away for like a moment. I can't do this.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Man, thanks, Index. Yeah, appreciate that. Those were fun times. Yeah, but we got a show to do, guys. What are we doing here today, Index Card? This is a sort of a pilot. Set the stage for us here. What do we have Al on to do?
So yeah, we've been kind of streaming together for a couple weeks now. We've done, I don't even know how many, maybe 5 to 10 of them. And throughout the course of our live stream activities, we came up with the idea to kind of bridge the gap from littles to big nouns, or nouns proper, or however you want to call it, without insulting the littles. But yeah, go from littles to bigs and kind of live stream and document our entire process about how a team of little nouns would get on chain at nouns. And so as part of this kind of proposal at littles, we're going to document every single thing, kind of build in the open. And before we even go live on littles, we're already kind of shooting one of these episodes right now with Al, where we want to kind of pitch him our idea. And this is sort of part of the proposal before the actual proposal begins. Just kind of get feedback. And this is sort of part of the process, but it's interesting because this process takes place before you go live on chain. And our whole thing is about going live on chain. So it's a little interesting and complicated, but kind of cool because we'll have some proof of work before we even go on.
And it's cool because I feel like one thing that we've always tried to hammer home, or at least really like tell the narrative of, is how, Little Nouns is an incubator. Little Nouns is a place where you can pilot your ideas and you can get, funding for this pilot and grow it into something bigger that ultimately graduates on chain. And I like that you essentially called this episode 0.5 because, this is like the pre Little Nouns proposal idea, even to get your like initial bootstrap funding and, start kind of building out this content that you guys are working on and try to get more out of an audience. And then, ultimately graduate it to that season finale of the, the final boss, the big on-chain proposal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we're trying to figure out kind of how to frame this, how to go on chain. We just before this, we had Lil Nouns had a brainstorming Tuesday in our Discord, and we talked a little bit about it. By the way, Lil Nouns Discord, if you're a Lil Noun holder, please join. Show up to the brainstorming session. A lot of great ideas come out of that. Yeah, and so we kind of had a brief chat about like, well, what's the format? And you said, what was the first feedback you gave me was do kind of a per episode thing. Don't overcommit, don't undercommit. Kind of how did you advise me, Al?
I think I said so. Like at least I feel like, I don't know, in the past I've kind of noticed that folks are a lot more receptive when proposals are not this like giant bunch of deliverables, especially when it's like a newer idea. I feel like typically people who will try to kind of like condense it down maybe into, maybe a 1 month pilot, or, maybe just like a handful of episodes to like kind of get a feeler. I feel like that is typically a lot more receptive to people than if you were to say, go on chain and say, we're going to do 10 episodes week over week. We want all the funding up front. And everyone's like, I mean, because at that point, the higher the cost, the more you have to say like, how much do I really want this? And if we've never even seen, the first couple episodes, it becomes more of a gamble to folks. So I feel like typically if you go smaller, do a couple episodes, kind of explain what it's going to look like, people start to have buy-in, right? And then from there, it's like, okay, this thing was really well received by the DAO. We would love to extend you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally think that was really good feedback in the sense that Lil Panda and I have been doing these for a little while, and we're kind of so deep into this thought and idea that your kind of advice allows me particularly to like take a step back and have like a fresher perspective, because I feel like sometimes you can get so into your own idea, and like we have this whole layout for maybe 10 or so episodes. Obviously as the course of the prop goes, things may come up or things may change, but roughly like 10 episodes. And of course we're the ones creating it, and we have kind of like the vision and we can see it, but it's good because we're asking for other people to fund it. We're not like funding it ourselves, and we're asking other people to come and watch and participate. So like this other perspective kind of allows me to take a step back and not get so caught up in the idea itself.
Right.
Yeah. Index Card and we really like doing this. So this is kind of a Google Doc draft. Al, what do you think we should do? Like a 3 episodes, 1 episode? Like what would you advise us? What do you think would be successful
for initial Little Downs prop, or just like the collective series?
Oh yeah, okay. So that's actually let's go back to the Figma. So all right. So whenever you're writing a story, it's always good to kind of think about the end first. So the way I'm thinking about the scope of work for Little Nouns is I'm thinking like there's a season finale, and this is the last like maybe couple of hours of our on-chain prop at Nouns. Does that make sense, Al?
Yeah. I love this part. This was like a very cool idea for like the finale.
Yeah, and so like, value prop for Lil Nouns. Like here's the kinds of things that I think this can deliver is entertainment, engaging, deep content, unique. But also there's like we can learn. It's almost like a business report on Lil Nouns and on Nouns. Like, how did the process work? How did voting work? Like, how did campaigning work? Like, it's almost like no matter what happens, if we lose, if we win, if it's close, if it's not, like I feel like we can deliver, data for the DAO. Yeah, Index, anything you'd add here?
Yeah, I feel like if we're talking about kind of the season finale, going on chain, obviously, first we have to be able to get on chain, but whether our prop goes down or our prop succeeds, it's not like a zero-sum game here. And so I think one of the positives in our direction is that whether we succeed or fail, we still have some result, and we still have all this content of our journey, and we'll still kind of like learn and have takeaways from it. And like if we do fail, that kind of could just lead us right into like a part 2 immediately. And if we do succeed, we kind of already have a part 2 built into the prop. But yeah, like the one thing I hope that we don't get kind of like lost in or get muddied in is that this proposal can kind of go many different ways. It's almost like a documentary. It's almost an entertainment piece. It's kind of like a educational piece as well. And so there's like all these components. And for me, I just hope that we're able to, through the course of it, kind of tie them all together. Yeah, proliferation as well. It's all these things at once. And I think if we're really successful, the way we will be is by tying all these elements like cohesively. Yeah, that's kind of my big thing.
And now it's causing me to rethink: is this finale? Is this the little nouns prop or the nouns prop? So I don't know. I guess that's where I'd love to hear from you, Al. Kind of what you think, what you'd like to see.
I guess I pictured it being the nouns prop. Yeah, right. Like I thought. I almost imagined you would go to Little Nouns to get some pilot funding for just like the actual episodes of, the stream and watching you guys build in public and, making that like fun and engaging for the audience. I almost pictured that would be, kind of what Little Nouns would sponsor you to do, with obviously this goal of, having that finale be the graduation proposal to Nouns DAO.
Yeah, that's how I thought of it too. So then, what's your sense about like, should this be like 3 episodes? Should it be 5 episodes? Should it be 10? What size should it be?
So this is where I'm struggling too, because like to pick an arbitrary number is challenging when it's like technically you will go on Nouns Chain when you're ready to, right? Like it's almost not like in 3 episodes we'll be ready or in 5 episodes we'll be ready. Or I mean, I guess if you can guarantee that, it's like, well, then how long are the episodes going to be? Like how do you commit to that if you set like a fixed amount of episodes that will ultimately force you to be ready to deliver an on-chain proposal at Nouns?
Yeah.
You almost have to like roughly guess, because I don't know, like you want to be compensated for the individual episodes. So, I mean, if you can like roughly pick a number of episodes that you'd want to do, maybe that would be my guess of what would work best. You know what I mean? That's almost hard to like predict how long this will take.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so many moving parts to this whole thing. No one can really say how many episodes it will actually take.
Right.
Obviously we have an idea. There's been many props before, that have followed some form of a similar journey. So we kind of like have a general idea, but really it can go like plus or minus at like 3 to 5 episodes, I think.
And I think that's what would help too if you go on chain at littles for like a smaller amount of episode. It's like you either finish in that amount and it's great, or you just extend it. And it's like if it's popular and you guys are putting out good content, it almost doesn't matter whether or not that finale is, the next episode, or if it's in 5 episodes. It's so long as you guys are making fun, engaging content for the DAO, and you're having fun doing it, and it's just like you building in public, like like down to the mission of what this all is about. I think it's valuable regardless, and then you almost don't have as much of a like pressure on how many episodes do we do or how much time does it have to take, because it's just kind of like maybe if you define a weekly cadence of how often you're presenting, then it'll be done when it's done, right? And you won't have the incentive to try to cram it. Like you'll have the incentive to do it right, and like and you'll only have the finale when you're like truly ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm thinking now, in some ways, it could be really good because our initial prop, maybe on the smaller funding side and maybe smaller episodes, And if we have success, then I guess we could go back on chain, and not only that gives us more content, but and then I guess if we're pleasantly surprised and we have even more success, would we pigeonhole ourselves into like the initial like proposal parameters? Like, could we expand in the future, you think, if I'm asking this correctly? Like, let's say our first proposal is kind of just like a pilot run for our pilots, and then we have some success and we want to go bigger. Do you think we could expand?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Okay.
And it's so hard because it's like impossible to guess the like overall consensus of the DAO. But I mean, and I don't know, I'm biased because I really like both of you guys and what you're working on. But like, so long as it is fun and engaging to people, like, who's to say it would ever stop? I mean, we can look at the Little Now Show for an example. I think they did a 4-month pilot, and now they've been going for months because people like their stuff. Like, they do a good job. You know, they get good guests. They have a good show. Like, we just keep extending them because they're consistently delivering. Like, and I don't see how this could be any different. You know, if like you're already proving to do a really good job and like being very thought out, and it's very fun to watch like the actual stream aspect of this. I can't see why this wouldn't continue to be popular.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, Panda, you had something?
Yeah. I mean, I want to just keep doing this. What do you think we should do next?
I like originally the concept was let's just keep it at 10. Like we'll use that number even though we don't really know. We have 10 episodes. We go on chain at Little Nouns for these 10. I don't know, 1 ETH per episode roughly, if that's like just the number we'll use as a placeholder to make the math simple. But I think talking through Al, I'm actually kind of coming around to the idea of smaller chunks possibly. The only downside I'm thinking of initially on the smaller chunks would be timeline. And we're kind of at the kind of like at the mercy of the timeline of the proposal process instead of the timeline that our journey actually like needs to take. But I guess we could always just kind of keep going, and almost some of it might be retroactive. Like this, if we get funded for these videos, it's almost in a way retroactive funding, even though this is like 0.5. But yeah, that's the only thing. But I'm coming around to the smaller chunks, prove our work, and I think if we kind of believe in our work, we should believe that people will come around to enjoy it more and even participate at some point, like Al is right now.
And there's a bit of a balance because you don't want to be so small that you're constantly fighting to get on chain and like politicking and trying to like rally approval. It's like you obviously want to also build out enough runway that you can just focus on the work and just, you know, like at the end of the day, like you guys are ultimately also doing this because it's like fun and enjoyable for you guys. And like the compensation is obviously the incentive to do good work and like just provide quality for the DAO. So obviously you want to make sure that you're asking for enough that's going to like keep you both super happy and motivated and having a good time. Like you don't want to ask for, like I'm finding that people are starting to ask for smaller amounts with the goal of like appeasing the DAO, but it's like if you ask for less than you think it's worth, you're going to grow to resent all of this. And it's like we don't want that either, right? Like at this point, I'm almost in the team of like we want to slightly overpay for work because we want to signal to builders that like, you know, we have capital, we want you to build here. There obviously are like associated risks with working for a DAO because nothing's guaranteed, and I think because of that, like we kind of have to pay a premium. So like make sure you get enough runway and make sure you ask for enough ETH that you're just genuinely happy and excited and like. You don't find that part to be so burdensome.
Yeah. Well, what do you think in terms of chunking? This was, I don't know, Index and I worked it out, like episode 9 we figured would be this finale. Okay. And then we just kind of worked backwards. I mean, what seems like a good chunk to start for you, Al? Or do you want us to kind of show you the card for each?
What is the? Oh, you've already got these scoped. Amazing. What is the cadence of each show? Is it like one a week?
It's
Just
kind
like
of just
whenever.
yeah, they're kind of like based on events. Like I want to do a whole episode called The Jungle, where we just go into the jungle to try to campaign for ourselves.
That's fun. Okay.
I think roughly we can kind of, just for simplicity, maybe a one a week cadence with a little bit of deviation, natural deviation, but roughly one a week probably, maybe a little bit faster.
You almost don't even have to define time. I don't know. Like I guess arguably you should calculate like income based on deliverables, and we have very clear deliverables of per episode here. So, I mean, you could like say roughly, we have these 9 episodes already scoped out. You can even kind of like in maybe a sentence or two define each one in the actual prop itself and be like, per episode we're asking for like 2 ETH or whatever the hell it is. And just kind of put it all
yeah,
up.
I see what you're saying.
Because then you're not so like, okay, we have to deliver one a week. Maybe 1 week for some reason you two are totally booked and you can't do it, or maybe the following week you two are super open and you're doing like 2 or 3 episodes. It's like you don't want to be forced to deliver on some sort of cadence for the sake of because we said we would. You almost want to like build out that compensation to align with the deliverables, which are just each episode. And maybe you should define a minimum amount of time an episode could be. Like you don't like, I don't know. You might not. I might be overthinking this here. I don't really see you guys saying, all right, we're gonna do an episode for X amount of ETH, and then it's like a 15-minute episode. Like I don't really see that happening either. But you know what I mean? Like you almost want to like, how do you like craft the deliverable to resonate with folks so they understand what they're paying for?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, sorry. Index card. Go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's again back to like on a macro sense, it's hard to really determine, and on like a micro sense per episode, it's really hard to determine. But yeah, there's not going to be any like 15-minute episode really. Like the reality of it is that all these processes take even longer than a live stream can probably handle. So like length of content and like duration of content, I feel like we'll have more than sufficient time spent on each episode. But yeah, again, it's like difficult to determine and block yourself in. You kind of, with this whole building in public and this Figma and live streaming, you kind of you want some of that flexibility and freedom. But I do like, like having, like 1 week, maybe we just can't quite get to an episode, but the next week we can do 2 or 3, maybe even. And then also like when the prop is on chain, there's a time constraint there. It has to take a X amount of days for it to live its life on chain.
Yeah. Does Lil Funding still have money? Do you guys have budget?
It's got to be pretty low at this point. Let me double check. And I've also seen like pretty mixed opinions of whether or not we should refill it. I still do think we should refill it. So honestly, maybe I'll put a proposal up soon for that. But let me pull it up. Last I remember, it was pretty low. Oh yeah, it's super low. There's 0.04883 ETH left. $87. Oh shit, I didn't realize we were that low.
I've definitely benefited from and appreciate your leadership on Lil Funding. Okay, so but it sounds like basically we got to go on chain to get money from Lil Nouns. So Al, to you, what seems like too big of a scope or too little? Like what seems like the Goldilocks for a per episode scope?
Good question. I mean, you could even split it in half, like, because are there technically 10 episodes total? I guess roughly.
Mm-hmm.
You could try for the first 5 and say, upon successful completion of the first 5, like we're gonna go back on chain for the remaining 5, like, and you can even, like, I guess kind of pre-scope them in the first proposal, but maybe just clarify, like, we don't want to just do this one pass, ask for it all at once, so we're going to blah blah blah. Or I don't know, like, you could, I was even thinking about this but unsure if I even wanted to say it, but like you could ask for it all, have it go to a multi-sig and have it dispersed upon completion, but I guess that's kind of still asking for it all at once. Like, I don't know, you can come up with all these like unique ways to do it, but at the end of the day, it's just like if the DAO likes it, it won't matter.
Yeah, my main interest really is to just get something on chain, get paid, so I can move forward.
Yeah,
and make the stuff.
I would not break it up in more than 2 props. Like anything beyond 2 props for all these deliverables, I feel like you're gonna be wasting your time, like constantly going back on chain.
Yeah, I know that's the thing about nouns, but yeah, I'd love to make content about it. I mean, it's fun and it's interesting to go on chain and to politic, but it's so time consuming.
It is.
And so many people just don't know that. They show up in nouns and they're like, oh, you're overpaying for this, you're overpaying for that. And they have no idea how just passing the prop is like most of the work. But in our case, it's kind of literally going to be that, because the first 5 episodes, or the first 4 episodes we had, were just passing the little nouns prop.
Yeah, like we almost have 2 natural parts to this season. The only thing is, like if we go the first half on chain at Littles, we're essentially doing the first half already. So that's like kind of the weird part, is that we'll go on chain for Littles, and let's say this is part 1 going on Littles. We've already done the whole season, so it's going to essentially be some form of retroactive funding.
Yeah,
that's the only tricky part, but if we're comfortable with that, I mean, that's up to Panda. But yeah, it's essentially going to be a retroactive funding if we split it like that. But that's the natural kind of split, I think.
Al, did you see our mood board here?
Yeah. That's awesome. I love the memes.
Oh, look at this. You did a 2. Oh, I like that index. Oh, wow. This is new, man. This is cool.
Choose your character.
Yeah, this was like sort of my take. It needs a little bit of work. Like if Boop was working on this, it would be phenomenal. Mine is a little bit dull, but yeah, like I think we're gonna lean into the gaming aspect of it a little bit. So yeah, this was like Onion and I going into Prop House, and these are kind of just iconic nouns.
Okay, so all right, so it sounds like we're kind of leaning towards going on chain for the first 5-ish or so episodes.
Nice, exciting.
Index, is that about right?
Yeah, I think either the first 4 or 5, but in some ways it'd be kind of nice to break it out to like 5, so we at least have something to look forward to after it actually passes and something to work on. Because if we keep it a 4, if it passes, the work is kind of already done, and we have to go straight to the second proposal. So we should have at least 1 episode after it passes to actually work and be active on, while simultaneously going for round 2.
Mm-hmm. You know what? It's almost like we'll make half the season we'll tell you what we want to do, but if you don't pass this, then it won't happen. And then it's like I feel like we could almost ask for the whole thing in that one funding.
You could. I mean, yeah, honestly, we might be overthinking this. It's hard to say. Especially if you have it all scoped out. I guess that's the other part, right? If you like say you want to do 10 episodes, but nobody even knows what they are agreeing to, it becomes a lot harder to like want to support. But it's like it also goes to show how like organized and committed you guys are to this because you literally have it all so planned out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you could. There's no rules against shooting your shot and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, and like if nobody watched our show and we couldn't get voters to vote, even though you've said basically you're going to vote for it,
Yes.
then basically our shit sucks and we should do something else probably. All right.
Yeah, the
kinda like that.
harsh feedback of going on chain. I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
Whether we're good enough or not, it'll be very, very obvious.
Yeah, in terms of pricing, yeah, maybe we do price the episodes out differently. What did I pull here? Proposal 68 was first little nouns. So they were about an ETH per episode plus half an ETH per month. So what is that? About a 1.25 per episode, Al?
Basically, yeah. Right?
Yeah. And then their second term, 94. This was, how much is this? Will
they do the giveaways? Basically 1 ETH per comp is for the actual hosts. They comp some equipment.
So they got paid less when they went up on chain again. They took a pay cut.
Did they?
Well, I guess they're giving away this 0.042, so they're getting the same. Oh, so they're getting the same. They're each getting 1 ETH per episode total. Yeah, the same as Prop 68. Okay. Are there any other comps we should think about, Al, in terms of pricing?
I know Brooke did his podcast, but his was kind of bundled into his like grand scope of everything he does.
So do you think what do you think about like 1.5 ETH per episode index? Does that seem too low, too high?
I mean, definitely not too low. I think for me personally, it would have to be an amount where I don't feel stressed out about having to deliver on it. Like kind of what I was saying earlier, like you want it to be an amount where it's rewarding. And of course we enjoy this and we like to do it, but we don't want it to become a burden. But I think also, and this is maybe where I'm like crazy and you're going to smack me for saying it, but like there's an amount where like it's so high that you feel stressed out about having to deliver on it and kind of like the expectations it sets. So I think there's a balance for me personally, but this is kind of where the building in public and sharing our thoughts out in the open comes into play. So for like a certain amount, I know personally I would start worrying about if I was delivering enough or if I was good enough for that amount. You know, I get very stressed out about that that kind of thing, and that's kind of what plagued me in my one of my prop house wins is that. You know, I got a certain amount and I wanted to take that amount and just kind of run with it and over deliver to the extent where I felt whatever I was doing wasn't kind of good enough.
Well, I mean, I feel like you and I are going to go on chain in the campaign and like talk about it. I feel like we can deliver. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not promising to win. And in fact, in some ways, if we lose, like, it's almost more entertaining. It's almost like more lesson to be drawn from it. I don't know. I mean, but either way, I feel like we're either going to win or lose. And like, I know that I can win or lose, you know?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I gotta like. Oh, sorry, you can go. Yeah.
I was gonna say, and you got to think too. You guys are technically splitting it. Like you'd get 3/4 per, which I mean sounds good. I don't know. I wouldn't say that that's like some sort of crazy rip to the DAO. It's like I don't know. This clearly seems like a lot of work. It's a combination of it's almost like a podcast and also video content and I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of like different components to this deliverable that makes it very engaging and valuable. Um, like I don't know, like a Twitter space, for example, is all audio and like you get some guests on, blah blah blah. And even just for that like conversation piece, we're paying an ETH per episode. This I'd argue has more actual content around it, more of like a niche skill set. I mean, like I don't know, I'll be brutally honest. I can go on Twitter Spaces and talk all day. I can't build quality Figma art like you guys are doing here, and I sit here and just stare while you guys work. I find it to be very enjoyable on top of just like the actual conversation. I don't know. Like you can hypothesize all day long what you think the DAO's going to want. You won't know until you try.
Yeah, and I feel like we're at the point where I think we got to just pick a number, choose, and go on chain.
And that's the thing too. You'll see what people say. Like if you get some crazy, overwhelming feedback in one way or the other, like nothing stops you from canceling and retrying, or even just letting the vote play out and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
You'll always get someone who supports it dramatically, and you'll always get someone who doesn't think it's worth it, and that's just based on whatever they think is the most valuable. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't think you'll do quality work.
Yep.
I did want to ask, I've only got about 5 more minutes until I'm going to have to jump here, but was there any other specific questions that you guys had for me?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we can count on your vote, which is awesome. You've obviously been a huge supporter of both of us. Who else should we talk to try and get feedback or to persuade to vote for us?
I would definitely recommend going on, what is it, Little Agora, and trying to see who like some of the bigger voters are. I know Marvel Girl's a big one in the 70s. Susuk is a big one in the 70s. Motion Design has 50 plus. I have already co-signed. I've got 200 something. Obviously, Little Nounders are a huge one. Will Price is a huge one. Yeah, Beauty and the Punk. Ames, I would reach out to for sure. He's typically pretty quiet, but I'd even be happy to reach out to him, get his attention, and tell him I really like what you guys are working on. I think he would potentially support.
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more than happy to help with the lobbying aspect.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, Al. Yeah. Any last minute things? We really appreciate you coming on short notice. I know you got to go, but yeah, if there's anything you can plug, we can plug for you what you're working on.
Nothing particularly. I mean, I was literally going to say, if you guys want to have me back on, I'm more than happy to attend any/all of these. I genuinely really enjoy these conversations. I like watching you guys build the content, even if you just put me on in the backstage as a viewer. I'm more than happy to attend.
Yeah, dude, definitely. We are casting for this role, the Steve K role, maybe for the jungle episode. Let's do some of that. But yeah, we really appreciate you, Al. You've been on a bunch of times. Yeah, really appreciate your candid advice. Yeah, Index, any closing thoughts?
Nothing too crazy, just really appreciative of giving your time and advice. I feel like we got some really good little like quotable snippets from Al that could be transferable to almost anybody thinking about putting a prop up. So,
Good.
and that's kind of one of our goals.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. Truly.
Yeah, who was it? Was it Marvel Girl or no Robot Fish? I think someone about a
Yeah,
potential
yeah.
editor.
Robot Fish Girl. Like, I'm pretty sure that's like her skill set. I don't know about her capacity. I mean, I could reach out to her for you guys and see what she thinks, but
Yeah, we definitely heard that feedback from Dot about how we can make this more of into more evergreen content and more than just kind of an ephemeral live stream that kind of comes and goes. So yeah, if you think about that, any content type people that you could put in touch with us, that'd be sweet.
yeah. Cool. I'll definitely poke around and see.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Al. We'll let you duck. Thanks again. And Index, you want to stay for a minute? Do you have another minute?
Yep, I'm good to hang around. Thank you, Al.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for
it.
having me, guys.
Hopefully,
Have
we'll
a
see
good
you
one.
on next time.
Yeah, for sure. All right, there you guys.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun with Al.
Yeah, I think really good to have like someone else hang out, get some fresher look at it and different perspective, kind of what I was saying earlier. Like you can really get lost in your own kind of idea, especially this one, which is just kind of like a lot at once. So, but it's also yeah, good to hear some support and positives as well as like actually legitimate constructive feedback.
Yep. And he also gave this really new frame of mind in terms of how we can price this that I think just makes a ton of sense. I think we go on chain for the whole season, but like half of that is retro, half of it is forward looking by the time the prop finishes.
That would be fine with me. I think at one point I said that we should at least have some, something to look forward to, because if we go for only 4 or 5 or however many it is, it's pretty much all retro, and that just kind of sets us up to immediately go back on chain for more if we do succeed on that first one. So I think I was good either way, but one full one, and then we could set some contingency for the second half of the season. And then it would really put the onus on us to deliver and kind of like reach like that kind of threshold. I don't know, whatever that might be, whether we're just on like a multi-sig or something. And then once we complete the first 4, we get the rest. Something like that. I don't know what you're thinking.
I'm saying we price out the whole season and that's our prop. And then we just make these first 4 episodes before the prop finishes. And then if we pass the prop, then we finish the season. And if the DAO does not pass the prop, then then we did all this work for free. But at least we don't do the second bit for free.
Okay. So yeah, you're it's even much simpler in this form. That probably makes the most sense, honestly.
Yeah, and it's almost like a mid-season break where it's like, how like AMC cancels your show. You're watching your show for 4 or 5 seasons, and then it just gets canceled. It kind of sets up that kind of storyline. People get to know us, and then if we don't pass, then it's like we get canceled by the DAO.
Yeah, we gotta like launch our own like fake personalities. Start storming the Discord, demanding to bring the show back.
Or we
might just say we get some naturally.
Yeah, we go to HBO, we go to Netflix, we go to Moonbirds.
Okay. I think we kind of got like our vision, and then we just have to actually compile the proposal itself, right? And just make it appealing and look nice. We got some of the visual elements yesterday from Boop that I think is like probably worth more than we even know in terms of success.
dude, I want to talk about Boop again while we're on the air. It's not, when I introduced him as just kind of a visual person, but the best visual people, they're not just visual people. And so he gave us a whole bunch to think about, not just about the visuals, but really is almost more valuable kind of how I've been thinking about and conceptualizing the show, and defining like a visual theme and a kind of a playful theme. So I got so much out of that episode. Um, yeah, so shout out soon to Boot, man. What a dude. What a rat. What a nouner. What a nounish dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like any other world where someone would just hop on a stream and kind of assist in that way. It's I think it's unique to nouns. To me, I don't know. Maybe it exists somewhere else, but that's kind of one of the special things about nouns.
Yep.
And maybe even to you too for getting him on. Yeah, I feel like you need some kudos there too, or something.
Well, yeah, I reached out to him, big fan of the Noundation, which really helped me get into Figma. I mean, all this work I've been doing really started from they did Noundation, which was funded by a prop house, which is free. So I guess shout out Nouns for making a soon to Boop and a MetaMonk. Okay, yeah, so let's see if we can't do a couple of deliverables here. Do you want to work on the prop a bit?
Yeah, I think kind of combining your previous work that you had with Boop's, kind of like Boop's work, would be a great way to tie it all together. But yeah, I guess you have the Google Doc open. So let me pull that up real quick. All right, I've got my doc open now.
Yeah, and I went back to my stream with CDT. Shout out CDT and Seneca for their writing. And they were really all about just keeping it super simple, having a couple images, show not tell, and just really simple, straightforward language. So
yeah, I like the thing like we introduce ourselves, a brief background of what we've done, even though some people will kind of already know, but a lot of those larger voting blocks that Al was mentioning may not know, honestly. So I think kind of like our introduction, a brief background, and then we just dive straight into our prop, and thankfully we kind of have things to show already. I think keep it as brief and as simple as possible, but like, obviously we have to relay the pertinent information.
Oh, you know what's interesting? I just thought of. So if we divide this in half, right, like 0 to 4, then the second half of the season, it's almost like a remix of the first half, or it's like a redo, or it's like a, it is kind of a second half and it's new, fresh content, but it's also got an interesting relationship to the first half, doesn't it?
Yeah, it almost is kind of like a mirror of the first. I mean, there's obviously things unique to nouns that aren't like little nouns. But yeah, pretty much kind of is is two very similar seasons. Just kind of like a different environment, different platform, different goal, but still the same.
Yeah.
I mean, just bigger stakes, I guess, is one of the things, different, for the most part, actually, some of the same voters, but some overlap on voters.
one over, well, a couple.
There's a few, like Little Nouns obviously has votes. Yeah. One major overlap. I mean, technically, I have a noun. Although there's that whole thing about, do you vote for yourself? Do you not?
We should do an episode about that, like a Crossfire episode about that.
Who's the guests?
Al and I are taking the side of you vote for yourself, because Al and I both fundamentally believe that, and we'll debate anyone on it. I don't know who takes the other side.
I could take the other side in a little bit.
Oh man.
I know. Well, one of the bigger examples was like Maddie didn't vote for himself; he abstained.
I think it's fair to do that. I think, in fact, it's admirable, and I think a lot of people. Zug did that at MF for Builder. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with voting for yourself.
Yeah, I could go either way, honestly, but I think my inclination would be to abstain. But yeah, like one vote at nouns probably doesn't. Well, you never know. It might move the needle. It might not.
We should add this as an activity card. Let me do that right now. Fire. I'll debate on voting for yourself. Alan, Panda, first index card, and Maddie. All right, back to it. So, yeah, we can always change this, but what do you think about in terms of pricing based on this last conversation?
So,
What's
like,
too high? Like, what's a too high amount where you think, oh, I'm not making enough to make up for this, or
like our current range that we're working is 1 to 1.5 ETH per episode, right?
Yeah.
Which would be like 0.5 to 0.75 ETH. And so, like, for me personally, 1 ETH, yeah, that's like I'm totally good with 1 ETH. 1.5 starts to feel like we're kind of bumping up to the maximum range there. Where, like, with one, well, I guess either way. So obviously our main deliverable and content piece is the live stream itself. And then we have all the other stuff that happens, like the on-chain content or the Discord messages, all that activity.
The on-chain content.
Yeah, like it's weird because we have so many different deliverables. But at like 1.5 ETH, I start to feel the need that we're gonna have to really edit our content, really produce. Like I know in that other like brainstorm session, you brought up TikTok. Like it starts to make me feel like we really would need to execute on those kind of like side pieces a lot better and a lot like drill down that kind of rabbit hole a little bit further, which I think would also be really good. And maybe it's good to have that like kind of encouragement and push at that level to do those things. Whereas at one, maybe I wouldn't feel that, and it could actually be a good thing now that I'm talking through it.
Well, I can't commit to any of the post-production.
I know. Yeah.
And also, all our stuff is CCO, so anyone can do it. And the DAO could, in fact, do like a prop house round, have anyone proliferate it. I mean,
Interesting. Okay.
but yeah, I'm clear about that. Like the deliverable for me is going to be the on-chain content. I love that. The on-chain content that's number one, and then the live streams, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's our main thing. And I know it was kind of thrown around that we have to kind of have that content persist outside of the actual stream itself in some fashion. So I don't really know how that kind of comes to fruition. In some ways, let's take like YouTube, for example. It could go away at any moment, and that content, like a live stream is always viewable, but it could go away at any moment. But technically, YouTube's been there longer than anything else, as far as chains go and like minting work. There's like, is it reliable? Who knows? But there's almost more provenance to a YouTube channel than there is outside of it. It's just that we're operating in this kind of like crypto world where it's expected to almost produce something on chain outside of the actual proposals, etc.
Well, like, could it be just like, could we put it on Arweave? I mean, how much would that cost?
Yeah, I mean, it could be as simple as that. I'd have to look into the logistics of it. I've never done anything like that, but can't be much.
I mean, there's got to be a way for us to be able to host this. Although that is a good risk to point out, is YouTube could punish us. YouTube could delete our channel. They could demonetize us. I mean, we're not monetized anyway, but that is a risk. All those platforms could deplatform us.
Yeah. Probably unlikely within the scope of our actual proposal, but something to think about, but probably not a priority necessarily. It's not mission critical to our proposal, I think, but maybe just like a nice to do is to kind of decentralize our content, for lack of a better way to say it. And what are your thoughts on proposals that rely heavily on externally linked content?
Yeah, I think not good long term, but it's really expensive to put content on chain, on ETH mainnet at least. I remember I was doing a prop once. I was putting a prop up, and I had an image, like a banner image, and it uploaded, and I was like, great, let's do it. And then I went to submit it, and it was like, this transaction costs like $700.
Okay.
So I'm like, no thanks. I'll go without the banner.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot.
I mean, now I think you could probably host something on like Arweave or Filecoin and link it like with a static permalink. I think that's probably totally fine.
Yeah, I think like as far as nouns goes, the biggest example would be the basketball renovation prop is all images. There's no text whatsoever.
Oh, interesting.
Like the text is on the images, but yeah.
Is there an alt text on the image?
I want to say no. Let's see. No, there's nothing. It's just an imager. If I'm saying that correctly. It's always strange to say like an internet name out loud.
Well,
like I think the visual element is really important, obviously, because everything we're doing is heavily visual. But our proposal probably should strike some form of a balance between between like visual images and GIFs, maybe even if we can throw a GIF in there. I think we kind of have to lean into the GIF a little bit. But yeah, we still want to make it live forever and be digestible in the future.
And you know what? This could also be a second half of the season problem. Like if we want to keep doing this, then maybe our prop that goes on Chain at Nouns, we really, really think it out visually. Yeah, all that's to say, like, I agree with you. We want it to be super nice and all that, but also like we gotta move. So I was thinking for the little prop, just like host something on Imgur, you know.
Yeah, that works for me. Okay, we just gotta come up with the actual content.
Yeah. Okay, well let's put this in at the high range then. 1.5 times 10, let's say 15 ETH. I mean, we planned out 9, plus we've already done, this is our second, so that'd be 11. I'm sure we'll end up doing, I don't know, we can always change this, but let's put that there for now. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, 1.5 times 10. I feel like we'll likely have a couple like little bonus episodes, but the main, like the main content will be those 10 episodes, and it's roughly 4 that are sort of retroactive, and then if we get funded, that funding for the next 6 will go towards finishing out the prop. And if we don't get the pass, then we produced 4 episodes. I guess kind of for free, but you know,
On spec.
yeah. But that's I guess that's like the price you pay, the time we spent on the first 4 and all this. Or maybe we go back on chain, you know. So I guess that's all to be determined. I don't have to worry about that yet.
What do you think about they'd be the only sponsor? I think that's fair. I think they're like our single sole benefactor for the whole season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just by way of like being a little prop that goes on chain is like kind of a sponsorship in and of itself. You know, you're wearing the Little Nouns Noggles, you have the Little Noun Panda. But yeah, we can throw like a little thing up in the corner of our streams, or we could also run one of those pre-rolls, I guess, if that's what you would want to call it. I don't know what StreamYard calls it, but kind of like a little pre-roll introduction.
Yes, I think pre-roll is great.
Yeah, like a little like kind of like your Super Little Panda 3 thing, but I'd have to search, but I'm having some ideas about those. Maybe some fun ways we can kind of meme the little intro.
All right, I'm going to play that intro one more time. We need to do a new end screen there. See, I made that like 2 months ago before you and I were working together. So yeah, that's something we'll need to do, I think, for this season.
Yeah, so already kind of like what Boop was working on the other day or yesterday, I guess it was. I'm starting to lose track of time. In the Figma file, if you can follow. Oh, you have me there already. So kind of like one of these screens here, we can almost animate it in a way. and use that as like a pre-roll too. So like we kind of select the episode. You know, we have some sort of border or box that kind of highlights the episode. We load up maybe some cover art into one of them. The future ones are sort of grayed out and like unknown, or maybe we kind of know what the next couple are. And so we kind of like are selecting our episode, and then that's sort of like our introduction too.
And it's almost like each episode is a quest.
Yeah, like I mean, if in the terms of Super Mario, you know, like a stage, I think, right, or
A level.
a level.
Yeah. And we could have the intro, could have motion, and then it could go right to our show where we have like the deliverables for each episode, the quest, like set the stage, how we're going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit, it's like extra work, but once you do it for one episode, you know, plugging in like future episodes should be much easier. And I think it would really an easy way to increase the production value and set us apart.
And it gives me a structure. It just makes it easier for me to jump in and work. And then when we have the show, you know, without having like a whole script and everything written out, it gives a good structure to run these things.
Yeah, and like we were kind of missing it for our first two things, because obviously the first one we made it literally while doing it, and then for Ow, we didn't really have anything. But I think I don't know when we're planning our first official episode, but should probably get that done, and I think that'll probably fall on me to kind of like animate it and GIF it and get these kind of like pre-roll bumper assets loaded.
Yeah. And they can also even be second half of the season, or, you know, we build it live.
Yeah, so like putting like little nouns on a pre-roll or whatever. Like, would we do it for the next episode before we even get funded, or would they just sponsor the second half? Or is that not? It's not even like worth worrying.
Like if we get to it, we get to it. But if we don't, not the end of the world. Okay. By the way, I gotta add. I'm not allowed GIFs. Let me see.
Kind of, but they don't just like naturally play. You have to kind of click into it and play, and then you can. I have not really done it, but it's meant to be animated in the terms of like UX flows and stuff. But that's a whole nother can of worms to start learning.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna add this still to our mood board as just a mood that I think I'm gonna be in frequently. Of like, let's just do it live. Like, get it on the outline and then do it live if we have to.
So if you double click it, it'll pop up on the side there.
Oh, interesting. It doesn't do that.
Do you have it? No? Okay.
Anyway, I think we've all seen this before. You've seen this one.
It's a classic.
I thought so. Just making sure.
My mom used to say it all the time to me too.
But I think, like, come on, how about that episode where you and I both got our entries into that prop house with 9 minutes left? I mean, that was classic Bill O'Reilly GIF GIF mode.
Pretty much. I've never been like so focused in my life as those like 1 to 2 minutes.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
That's a real value to this ecosystem. Is like, that's a good way of working when you just need to get shit done. Okay, we got. Let's see. Should we finish out a little bit more on this prop, or do you want to do more visual stuff? What are you thinking?
We kind of have to do both, but probably before you do visuals, I feel like you should know what you need, so you're not wasting. You're not building a visual and then you find out that's not relevant to what you actually are going to go through with.
Well, I think we need kind of a banner for our prop.
Yeah, I saw you playing around with a bunch of variations over in the top right. You use like every color possible.
I was just trying different color schemes. I was also thinking, what do you think about instead of that arcade creature? I love Sundaboop. I loved watching him make that. But what do you think about those as just shirts, the noun shirts?
Okay. I was thinking too as well. It should be a little more nouns native. But
Let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna grab Peachy here. Shoot.
Do they scale down to that size well?
They should.
Although, or they're like Noggles. I don't know.
Yeah, they scale. They scale. So let's get like an orange. Anyway, of all those backgrounds, what do you think? Do you like the dark? Do you like any of those other ones I did? Or
I do like. Well, the problem you do get lost in the darkness.
You're trying to erase me, man. I get lost, man. It's scary in the dark for me.
Yeah. Does it? It should probably be like a nounish color. Or these aren't nounish. These are from like a palette generator, right?
Yeah, I just got a bunch of random palettes.
But I guess
I don't like really any of them in particular. So feel
not
free.
Not really either. Not like. This is where I didn't get a chance to play around yesterday. I had a run in life, but yeah. And then I guess this is kind of like a banner for like our nouns prop almost in a sense, right? Not necessarily our little, or is it both?
Well, we need like a V1 for our little, and maybe it's like a little version, and then we'll iterate on it for the nouns one.
Are we sticking with this Ready Player Noun theme, or we're?
I don't think that's the name. What do you think?
I think it should. I think something different, but I don't have the answer, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. I think you and I think you and I both trust each other's judgment on branding and content. So I think we'll be good on that.
It could be like, I don't know, like I'm just gonna put it out there, but there's not the actual suggestion. Like play nouns up in like as the overarching name of this process, and then this game is like, I don't know, something. It's got to be something about littles going. I don't know. I keep saying like littles go big, but or like littles take on now. I don't know. It's got to be something little, I think, in the name.
Yeah, I don't think these colors I chose are right, but I do kind of like the shirts. I guess it could also be as accessories. Like there could be the Infinity accessory. There could be gold bling. There's a lot of different ways to go. Shoot. Yeah, I don't like these colors I picked here at all. They do not look good.
Trying to find. I'm scrolling through Noun Center traits right now to try and see if there's any existing asset we can kind of pull from. There's like the rings thing. That's kind of like Sonic-y.
I remember.
Or just like the ETH symbol. I don't even know.
I think it was Gami who did Olympic rings in a nounish style.
Yeah.
Did any product come out of that or brand?
The only thing with the Olympic symbol is you cannot even go anywhere near it.
Okay. Say no more.
Yeah, even if you're competing and you're like a national, there's like, it's one of the most protected IPs out there, I think. Whether or not it would come back to us, it's cool to play around with, but yeah, they're crazy about the usage over the Olympic rings.
Yeah, no point in chancing that.
Yeah.
Maybe what if the shirts have the infinity sign on them? Maybe I'll let you just kind of jam at your leisure on branding stuff.
Yeah, this is one of those, like, I think I do have some ability in this front, but it's kind of one of those things for me where it's just gotta like hit me one day.
Yep.
And then like I'll just know like, okay, that's the direction. I think tomorrow, realistically, I could spend quite a bit of time on this stuff. So let's see. Oh, what is going on here? Yeah, I think we spend the next little time nailing down what we need, and then we can either work on it live or like off air and then review it live. That's the other thing. Like, there's going to be some stuff that just doesn't happen live, but we can kind of like almost recreate it, or we could just recap it when we do go live.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, okay, bring to front. Oh, no, what is going on? Oh, it's a frame. That's why. Okay, I never really worked with frames too much.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I want to just go in.
Yeah, because those are each like it's complicated. I do think, by the way, if anyone is watching this from Figma, we are huge fans of the product, and we love Figma.
That would be a that's like our dream goal. Some support.
That's honestly, we called it a side quest, and that gave me good context. I'm gonna add that again. Figma sponsorship, or like a Coinbase sponsorship, something like that. You look back at the old up only episode sponsored by FTX, and it's pretty jarring. So I do want to avoid that fate.
Yeah, I think it's something to work towards, and I don't really think it's out of the question. I'm surprised. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but no one announced has pursued or gotten some external sponsor like that.
Yeah.
For media content, at least.
Yeah, brings me to another idea, by the way. Variant Fund owns Nouns and participates in Nouns governance. They're all about the creator economy. I know, like Lee Jin, she writes a lot about creators, creator economy. Be fun to see if we could pitch a Variant for a sponsorship or an investment. That'd be a fun little side quest.
We'll take an investment. As long as it's beneficial to both parties involved. That could be fun. It could be like an entire season in itself, trying to find like some deals, investments, sponsorships.
Yeah, here's a Yeah, Lee Jin, by the way, inspiration to me, great writer. This article from Fast Company. This is just a couple months ago, right? Here's what she says. She says, huge part of the passion economy is moving towards online work where we could be micro entrepreneurs. It's a subset of the passion economy where people are building their own brands, their own fans, audiences, and then monetizing that fan base. So it's definitely impacted my thinking about how I approach this. But yeah, their Variant Fund owns at least one noun, but I believe several. Yeah, it'd be great to do a fun little side quest to try and pitch Variant.
I think the great thing about this all is that we could just try whatever.
We can have her on as a guest. Ask her how we can monetize. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, we should try it. I've started making like kind of like a side list of ideas. It's outside the scope of this particular proposal we're talking about, but yeah, I've been trying to make a list for maybe I don't even know. We still got to decide on the announced proposal itself and figure that one out. So
yeah, and I feel like we could spend a ton of time doing that. But yeah, I also just want to keep putting out there that we are looking for ways to make this sustainable. Sponsors, investors, something like that. We are open to those ideas, and we are building towards kind of a self-sustaining model because Noun's a great platform to kind of launch kind of a seed or even almost like a Series A. But it seems like Noun's voters are really looking for projects that can be self-sustaining. And anyway, it's a good idea because we wouldn't want to be totally reliant on one source of funding anyway. Right?
yeah, if we can get there, be pretty amazing accomplishment. But for now, kind of starting here. But yeah, if we can get there, that would be a dream.
Dream. Okay, what I'm kind of losing steam. Do you want to do anything else, or you want to take a break, or you want to call it?
Yeah, I feel like we're near an hour and a half. We had Al for like the first hour of it. Really good stuff. Probably should maybe tomorrow pull some clips from that, and then also kind of get the banner going, make an outline of the prop, and then kind of beef it out tomorrow, either on air or off, and then we can go over it on air because that's kind of almost now like our episode one. But yeah, I think off air, get a little refresher, come back to it, and then when we have a little bit more meat on it, come to our next episode, whenever that is.
All right. So this was episode 0, kind of 0.5 we called it. Actually, let's do that. And I do that just because we had such a great time with Soon to Boop on 0. So that does it for 0.5 pilot. Next time we're going to be at episode 1. You know, in terms of deliverable, I feel like we were sort of loosey-goosey today, but what should our main deliverable be from the next episode?
I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious, right? We
go on.
We have at least like our first final draft of our prop, because episode 2, if we have feedback and go on chain, so we might have to rework it a little bit, but we have like our actual draft that we start shopping around. So that would be the biggest component of it, would be the actual, final draft. These are more like internal deliverables, but we will have some of our visual assets created. like our banners, maybe our intro on the next one.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Those are kind of internal, more internal. But by episode 1, we need to have our pre-roll. Maybe even you record like a disclaimer. Finally, if you want to do that, we could just make it like a quick 10-second disclaimer, some text on black screen or something funny in Whimsy too. But really, the big one would be the prop itself. And episode 2 would really only like make some minor tweaks to it, I think.
And then episode 2 would be post on chain. Yep.
Yeah, we actually are on chain on episode 2.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, just a quick practice on this disclaimer. This show is purely fictional, maybe not fictional. We are purely producing on-chain content that is humorous, engaging. It's for your entertainment purposes. It's not for any kind of financial advice. Index Card and I are obviously both holders and participants across the Nouniverse. Index Card owns a noun. I don't own a noun yet, but that hopefully will be a side quest in a future season. And in the meantime, don't buy any tokens. Don't buy any crypto tokens. Just don't buy anything. This is all just for fun and games. Don't buy any tokens. Something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I'll let you handle this part. So you got the better voice anyway, the more soothing, calm voice.
Okay. All right. So I'll work on the disclaimer. You'll work on the banner visual.
Yeah, banner, and maybe that kind of episode select screen.
Yeah.
And then I should probably, I know this is like scope or no, or outside the scope kind of, but maybe clip a couple of things Al said.
Okay.
Sort of marketing pieces for our prop.
Well, and you know what? We're going to need that for the prop going on chain anyway. You know? So it's like you kill two birds with one stone. We can market with it, plus we can have a link to it from our prop.
Yeah. Okay. So got some work cut out for us.
Last thing I want to come back just to emphasize, I don't think I gave it enough emphasis today, but very possible after we do this whole season, you know, of doing a Draposal, like one big mint to celebrate and, you know, the achievement of this whole season. And I think that's a great experiment we could do as part of this prop is, hey, mint something for this whole season that commemorates it, split the proceeds, you know, with Lil Nouns DAO, gain attention, etc. So I want to let's keep our eyes open to that, because that's like, it's almost like a bonus pay. Like if our season does well and we make a big impact, people really appreciate it, then we can get kind of bonus income, like a bonus completion.
Yeah, and then you also kind of brought up an idea in our Discord. I don't know if we want to talk about it just yet, but like another mint of some sort. You know, not for financial gain, but I really like that idea you brought up. I'll let you either talk about it or not. I think, you know, you probably should know what I'm talking about. You muted?
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, let's talk about that next time.
Yeah, like Al, you know, fits the bill there perfectly.
Yep.
All right. I think we're good.
All right, man. This has been a great episode. An hour and 34 minutes. I feel like we got a lot done. I feel really good. Yeah. See you
Do we
next
need
time.
outro music?
Yeah, let's do some outro music. DJ Index. Thanks, everyone.